All right, hi everyone, it's Mr. Jensen. Today I would like to do a review of some things we learned in class. One of them being the rounding activities that we did, and the other being a simple review of just the metric system. All right, so here I have our review for rounding, and I have the number 100.483. All right, so what's really important is to understand the numbers that are to the right of the decimal. So specifically 4, 8, and 3 is what we'll focus on because we're rounding after the decimal. You have to know the places of each number. So for example, I'll circle 4. 4 is in the tenths place with an S, tenths. And 8 is in the hundredths place. And 3 to orange is in the thousandths place. So these are the three places that we'll be dealing with most. There are numbers of the decimal after the decimal point, obviously, that go past the thousandths place, but for earth science mostly we are only focusing on the tenths, hundredths, and thousandths. All right, so I'm going to erase this for now, and I'm going to focus on practicing rounding. So if a question says round to the nearest tenth, the first thing you want to do is find that number in the tenths place and circle it, maybe just to focus on it. The next thing you want to do is you want to check the number to its right. In this case, it's an 8. So the rule for rounding to the tenths, when there is a number that is 5 through 9 or 5 or greater, is that you will add 1 to the digit on the left that you're focusing on. So 100.483, when rounding to the nearest tenth, actually becomes 100.5. I added 1 to that 4 because the 8 is 5 or higher. Let me do a different example. Say I'm rounding to the nearest hundredth. My 8 is in the hundredth place. If I look to its right, I see a 3. 3 has the same rules as every number from 0 to 4. If the number to the right of the number you're focusing on is 0 through 4, you don't do anything. You keep it the same. So in this case, 100.483 becomes 100.48. Because it's a 3 and it's lower than 5, I keep the number the same. All right, so I have a couple examples that we can look at here. All right, so my first example is the number 7.832. And my instructions say rounding to the tenths place. The tenths place. So I first have to focus on the number that is in the tenths place, which is an 8 here. So in this case, I want to look to my right, like always. I see that the number to the right of the tenths place is a 3. A 3 is in the 0 to 4 range, so I don't do anything with the 8. In this case, my answer will become 7.8. All right, if I move on to my next one, it says I want to round to my hundredths place. So I first want to find the number in my hundredths place, which is a 7 in this case. I want to look over to its right. It's a 2. This is the same rule again. It's a 0 to 4. So I don't want to do anything to the 7. So in this case, rounding to the hundredths place, 5.57. I didn't change it. My last one. Do it in blue. My last one, I want to round to my thousandths place, which can be tricky because you'll notice that the number 4.843 doesn't have anything after the thousandths place. So in my case, or in this case, I'll add a 0 there because if there is no number after the last number of the right, you can assume that the number is going to be 0. So I will circle my 3 because it's in the thousandths place and that's what I'm rounding. I'll look over to my right, I put my 0 in. That is in the 0 to 4 range, so I won't do anything with that 3. In this case, my answer will be 4.0 843. Now, these examples all happen to have digits within 0 through 4 on their right. So I'll make up a number for a third example, 5.368. In this case, let's round to the tenths for this example that I just drew up. So I'll find my tenths place, which is a 3. I'll look over to its right. I find a 6. And anything from 5 to 9, you'll add 1. You'll go up 1. So I have to change the 3 this time. So in this case, I will have 5.4 as my answer. All right, that is a quick review of rounding. I'm going to move down to our metric system review, and we'll reveal the 3 basic units for the metric system. The meter, the liter, and the gram. We'll start with the meter. For meters, what you need to know is that it measures distance. This distance could be a short distance. It could be the distance from your bottom of your feet to the top of your head, and that would be in meters. It could be a longer distance. It could be something like from the top of a mountain to the bottom of a mountain. Maybe we would do that in kilometers. So for distance, we will be mostly this year probably using meters, kilometers, centimeters, and millimeters. Kilometers being the largest one, millimeters being the smallest one. The regular meter is the basic unit. In order to measure distance, we're going to be using rulers, a yardstick, etc. Oh, a yardstick, no, it's not the metric system. So we'll be using a meter stick or a ruler. Then we have liters. So liters is going to measure volume. Volume is the amount of space something takes up, an object takes up. So we all have our own volume of space that we take up in the universe, I guess. Most generally, you'll see it. The easiest access you have to seeing volume is going to be the volume of your water bottle, how much space your water bottle has for water. It's usually in milliliters. Obviously, we could use kiloliters, but I would say in our class for volume, we'll mostly be using milliliters if we're using a liquid. Then there's also centimeters cubed. We'll be using centimeters cubed for a regularly shaped object like a square or a rectangle or a cube. In order to find centimeters cubed for volume, you'll use length times width times height. When we're using milliliters, we'll use a graduated cylinder, and we'll place the irregular item into a graduated cylinder filled up with a predetermined amount of water, and we'll see how it changes to figure out the volume of the object. Finally, we have grams. Grams is going to calculate mass. This is the amount of matter an object has. We'll most likely be using milligrams, grams, and probably kilograms if something's real heavy. In order to find mass, you'll be using an electronic balance or a scale, and maybe we'll even use a regular old school balance in class one day. All right, so this is your very quick review of the metric system, all of the basic units, what they measure, and also a bit of rounding practice. All right, if you watch it live, thanks for joining in, and if you're watching as a